Imagine a world where the world's oceans, once the serene highways of global trade, are now battlegrounds for economic warfare. And it's happening right now. The escalating feud between the United States and China is turning international shipping into a high-stakes game of retaliation, with both superpowers slapping extra port fees on each other's cargo vessels. From transporting festive holiday toys to vital crude oil, these ships are now navigating not just waves, but a labyrinth of tariffs that could shake up supply chains worldwide. But here's where it gets controversial. Is this a justified pushback against unfair practices, or a reckless spiral that could hike costs for everyone, from consumers to businesses? Stick around as we dive into the details, unpacking how this maritime standoff might redraw the map of global commerce, and why it matters for your wallet and the planet. The spark of retaliation. Fees that hit where it hurts. On Tuesday, October 14th, 2025, the United States and China officially kicked off their reciprocal port fee schemes. Picture this, a massive cargo ship laden with containers, gliding toward the bustling Yantian port in Shenzhen, China. But now, that journey comes with an extra bill. The US is targeting vessels linked to China, aiming to challenge Beijing's stranglehold on the global maritime sector. This exemption even extends to empty ships docking for repairs, as outlined in China's rules, broadcasted live on state media, CCTV. How do these fees work? China's levies kick in at the first port of entry during a single voyage or across the first 5 trips in a year, billing annually from April 17. The US mirrors this approach, starting the same day. Experts predict that China's major container carrier, COSCO, listed as 601919.SS on the Shanghai Exchange, could bear the brunt, potentially covering nearly half of the $3.2 billion in costs expected for the industry in 2026. Jefferies analyst Omar Nokta points out that about 13% of the world's crude tankers and 11% of container ships might feel the pinch. Exclusive Shipbrokers Inc., based in Athens, warns that this tit-for-tat symmetry could create a vicious cycle of maritime taxes, disrupting the smooth flow of global freight. Digging deeper, the roots of the rift. This isn't just a sudden squabble, it's rooted in long-standing tensions. Earlier this year, under President Donald Trump's administration, the US unveiled plans for these fees to counteract what it sees as China's unfair dominance. A probe from the previous Biden era revealed that China employs questionable policies to dominate global shipping, logistics, and shipbuilding, essentially giving it an edge that hurts competitors. By imposing these penalties, the US hopes to level the playing field and revitalize its own shipyards, which have lagged behind. And this is the part most people miss. Shipping isn't just about moving goods, it's a cornerstone of global economies, and meddling with it can ripple out to affect everything from the price of your next smartphone to the availability of imported foods. But the drama doesn't stop at ports. In a fresh escalation, Trump retaliated against China's restrictions on critical minerals by threatening 100% tariffs on Chinese imports and new export curbs on essential software, set for November 1st. Hours later, US officials issued stern warnings. Nations backing a United Nations International Maritime Organization, IMO, initiative to cut greenhouse gas emissions from ships could face sanctions, port blockades, or extra vessel charges. China has openly endorsed this environmental plan, which aims to combat climate change by reducing shipping's carbon footprint. Critics argue this turns shipping from a neutral tool of trade into a weapon of geopolitics. Take a moment to consider, should environmental efforts be politicized like this, potentially slowing progress on global warming? Market reactions in the human side. Despite the looming expenses, shares of Shanghai-based COSCO jumped over 2% in early trading on Tuesday. The firm announced a bold move to repurchase up to 1.5 billion yuan, $210.3 million of its own stock over the next 3 months, a strategy to protect shareholder value amid uncertainty. When contacted, COSCO declined to comment on the fee's potential fallout. For reference, $1 equates to about 7.133 Chinese yuan. The bigger picture, controversies that demand debate. This clash highlights a heated debate. Is China's shipbuilding prowess a result of savvy innovation, or does it rely on unfair subsidies that tilt the scales? On one hand, the US sees these fees as a necessary countermeasure to protect jobs and competitiveness. On the other, some argue it's protectionism that could inflate costs, delay deliveries, and even contribute to inflation for everyday consumers. And let's not forget the environmental angle. By threatening penalties for supporting cleaner shipping, is the US prioritizing trade wars over planetary health? It's a controversial interpretation, but one worth pondering. Could this pushback actually hinder sustainability efforts? As countries hesitate to align with green initiatives, fearing economic repercussions. What do you think? Do you side with the US in standing up to China's dominance? Or does this tit-for-tat approach risk making global trade more expensive and unstable for all? Should environmental policies be shielded from political battles? Share your views in the comments below. We'd love to hear your take on this maritime tug-of-war.